it has begun, or something, or ended. I don't know. Either way, we're here, and oh, we could start anywhere, but we'll start with Big Letitia. She's
Well, it is the elephant in the room.
It is. It is. So, what's happened here?
The rhino in the shop.
She's being hoisted on her own retard, and it's quite delicious. Did I say that right?
Oh,
I know
no.
I said that right. But either way, she's
Not Letitia James.
yeah.
How could anyone have seen this happening?
I know it's
coming.
the craziest.
Well, it's one of those.
The craziest thing. So yeah, New York Attorney General James has been served with a federal grand jury subpoena. So she'll need to talk to some kind of important people about this whole mortgage fraud. Wait.
So you're saying that a standard lawyer might not be able to be, a standard team of lawyers even might not be able to just kind of get her out of this, right? There's not going to be like a person in the office who says, "Hey, so we'll overlook this."
Well,
she might have to deal with this as one of us, one of the plebs that she was so happy to slap on.
Well, to quote a well-known New York Attorney General, "No one is above the law."
Ah, okay. So Hillary Clinton. Wait, no, that's not the right one.
Oh no, that was something that Attorney General James,
Obama, not that one.
Actually, it's funny enough. The current Attorney General actually said that, so I'm sure that the current Attorney General will support all of this investigation into Letitia James. I think she has some sort of position in New York, but either way, the New York Attorney General, I'm sure, will support this investigation into Letitia James. Because, as we all know, the current Attorney General said no one is above the law. So, that's great. And speaking of the law, and,
Law.
No, that's right, but...
Law!
Absolutely. Well, no, a specific law. Grand Theft Auto. So, That's right. GTA 6 has dropped their second teaser trailer, and they fixed the female model from the early release images.
Mm-hmm.
She looks like, kind of a crazy hot Latina, which is kind of the point. And the guy looks a little bit more masculine. I also wonder if perhaps they've done a little bit of rejigging of the story, too, considering the early leaks made it seem a very one-sided tale. But who knows? Who knows? They might have just prettied everything up and not done anything else. Either way, though...
Well, I heard, speaking of prettying things up.
Yeah?
There is the rumor, of course, now that they will have pride parades.
Mm-hmm.
And that the genesis of that idea might have been a blue-haired retard who didn't realize that devs were going to have fun with that.
Probably.
But then again, in the that might be like an alpha audience thing to have fun, but it's also possible and probable that they would have it impossible to run them over. It might just be like a cutscene or some bullshit like that.
That is possible.
That said, I got a good feeling that there's going to be some mods that come out to correct that situation.
Yeah, and of course those mods obviously will be banned immediately on Nexus mods, but no worries, ModDB will have those backed up as well as a couple of the other mod sites.
Yeah, so on the SBI detected / Gamergate 2 X community, we do routinely highlight these mod alternatives when we see them. As they kind of poke up during the Nexus stories. So I assume that when those mods do inevitably get banned from Nexus, or they just come up and there's comments as they do below, we'll end up posting some of those as links in that community as well.
Undoubtedly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what these alternate communities are for, because these these places that were all about getting things out for people, and what was one of those really notorious Fallout 4 ones? The one where you have where you can have the children all be able to be killed, and also be naked, and also have genitalia, and also be able to be in relationships with them. That's a fairly notorious one. I believe it's still hosted there.
Oh God.
It's fiction, Craig. It's fiction.
You're reminding me of some dumb shit that goes on with those things.
Well, Oh, speaking of dumb shit, there was a ceasefire today. Great news. Ceasefire today. Donald Trump actually
4 hours.
Yeah, man, you still have thunder. But yes, Donald Trump was able to negotiate long overnight talks and everything. They were able to get a ceasefire, and then Pakistan just launched a bunch of drones,
yeah,
less
Pakistan
than
did
4 hours
things.
after it was established. As a matter of fact,
You see, they were upset that he got some new phone calls. I guess I don't know if you noticed that all the spam phone calls seemed to have dropped off overnight when the war started, and then there was a brief period where they came back, and then they kind of dropped off again. I'm not so sure that the war with Pakistan is really a bad thing as long as it sticks with small skirmishes that tie up their entire media infrastructure.
yeah.
I mean, there's a trade-off there. I mean, war sucks.
Well, that too, and Pakistan is like an absolutely shitty, corrupt, horrible country, and India, in and of itself, is fine. There's a number of Indians who aren't at all, but
yes, they
that's
work
not
in
a
call
country
centers.
thing. Yeah, that's that. Yeah.
Now, here's the thing: is like if it's funny because you see, this is where Pakistan could redeem itself if it targeted some specific locations within India. In fact, I'm pretty sure most of India would be happy if those places were targeted too, because it would improve the reputation of the entire area. Now, all of that said, and I am talking about the call centers because fuck those people. Now, all that said, though, most of the spam calls that were coming through Canada and the United States about a decade ago were from Karachi, which is not in India. It's in Pakistan.
That is true.
So, I mean, and the problem is, of course, the bad English accent that comes through is basically the same. So it's not something that people in the U.S. can really
kind of a regional thing, you could say. And on that note, I will make note that Imran Khan is still in jail. The man who the people elected and wanted as president.
True.
Because if he were not in jail, I'd say there's a very good likelihood that none of this bullshit would be happening, and Pakistan would be a fairly competent global player instead of this kind of piece of shit actor that they're being lately.
Well, there's good days and bad days over there, I guess.
Yep, you could say it has its occasions to be kind of shitty. Anyway.
Love them.
Yeah. So, speaking of shitty, apparently there's a fella that was arrested in Britain just recently.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about certain tactics. All right, we'll go with that.
No.
It's just funny.
Nah, we're hopping across the pond for this one here to the...
There's a good video that was going around that had effectively boiled down to a stink bomb joke, which I was childishly giggling at for quite a while.
Fair. This one is not so giggle-worthy, unfortunately. So, in February, there's a fellow that was arrested for burning a Quran.
The story. Yeah.
And so, in 2008... Wait, that's not February. No, that's many years ago. In 2008, Parliament abolished all of their blasphemy laws, meaning that to offend a religion is perfectly fine. There is no issue with it.
I wonder why that happened.
Yeah.
Could it possibly have had something to do with a certain community of people?
Possibly.
Being upset about blasphemy. That they had no right in a foreign country that they are occupying to be upset about.
Well, we're talking about 2008. Now, what's happened is since then, we've got a fella that has now been charged with, quote, offending Islam. And... Well, here, I'll read it directly. On the 13th of February, 2025, a man was arrested for burning a Quran in public. He has now been charged with a religiously aggravated public order offense under Section 31(1)(b) and 4 of Crime and Disorder Act 1998. Most concerningly, the charge sheet states he, quote, acted with intent to cause against religious institution of Islam harassment, alarm, or distress. The institution of Islam? I'm quite certain that would fall squarely under the blasphemy heading. So,
Well, Je suis Charlie, and Draw Muhammad Day is going to be fucking hilarious this year.
Truly. One hopes, anyway. But yeah.
You know how to draw Muhammad, right?
Well, there's any number of ways, really.
Put a beard and eyes on the end of a dick. There you go.
Well, you could do that. I mean, you got all kinds of options. Good times. Good times. Oh, you know what? We've got some other good news. I don't have an article, unfortunately. I've only got somebody that's done the reporting and the digging on it. But one of the Diddy witnesses is missing.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah, nothing major. That's a video from Yellow Flash. I'll throw a link in here below. Let's see if he's got any. Victim number 3 is missing, and perhaps like Virginia Gillifrey, she had no reason to kill herself.
So that whole Virginia Jeffrey thing, that's a real pickle, isn't it?
It is.
That's a real interesting one. It
really is. That and her family literally coming out and saying, "Oh yeah, no, she was killed. Someone, their exact words were, someone got to her." Literally what they said. So
interesting.
Yeah.
If I was in the Jeffrey family, I would be. I'd be out in very public places. Very public places for a while.
Yeah. Pretty much not.
That's the kind of shit fest that sticks to people. Especially if they say that, then it's the assumption I would have as a bad actor would be that they know something that I would be interested in hearing about. Exactly who else has heard about this and where's the evidence for it? What's the deal on items that may have been claimed in selling certain estates, that kind of shit. But that was if I was a bad actor. I'm sure that the good actors may have thought about some of this. We hope.
We hope.
Paid. That's the one of the things they're paid to do is consider how would a bad actor follow up on that.
That would be certainly one way of tying up loose ends.
Indeed. Speaking of loose ends and bad actors, Nintendo.
Yeah. There's rather a few loose ends. They were left utterly untied, just sitting out there dangling in the breeze for the longest time. And then somebody was like, "Hey, those are neat. I think I'll use those." That somebody was Pocket Pair. So they made Palworld, which is like so many other games that have come out, so many other animes that have come out, both Japanese, French, American. It's a formula that's tried and tested, proven, you could say, around the world. So you might even say it's fairly ubiquitous. But somehow, Pocket Pair comes out with this game. Of course, that game being Palworld. We've spoken on this a number of times.
Fantastic game.
Oh yeah, excellent. Very well made. Really.
Can't say that from personal experience. I love that game.
It's a fun game.
Even with the modifications that have had to be made in response to Letitia's pieces of shit.
Indeed.
But it continues kicking.
They do. Instead of rolling over.
And I would absolutely say if they turned it into a pile of shit over this stuff, I'd be annoyed. But they haven't. They've managed to make the game. They've managed to maintain the game as fun, which is quite a feat when they've got to put so many resources into fighting this bullshit.
And then making changes once Nintendo says no.
Yeah, and then radically changing game mechanics to satisfy more bullshit.
Yeah, and just as a quick note on that too, and we have covered this previously, but the most important part here is that there were not extant patents on many aspects of this game.
They're patented after the fact, and this is
patented after the case was filed. In some cases,
here's the frustrating part: is if this was U.S. courts dealing with this,
this shit would be thrown out in an instant. They would be Nintendo would be laughed out.
Be invalidated patents, and they'd be laughed out. It's not happening in the U.S. though; it's happening in a foreign court, and they're foreign companies. So we have no say on how this goes, how this pans out, which is unfortunate because it would be really funny just to get that headline. Nintendo rat fucked in U.S. court. Tough world, I guess.
Truly. Now, it would be very, very funny if Palworld opened up an actual U.S. Arm and
if they moved here,
went
that'd be
ahead
great.
and transferred all ownership to the U.S. Arm
and rights and rights.
Oh
That'd
yeah,
be
no,
important.
completely. Just Pocket Pal Japan is, or Pocket Pair Japan is just just a subsidiary. All we do is distribution. So if you've got any problem with what we're distributing, you'll need to take it up with the head company. I
think that ship has sailed, unfortunately. Yeah, in East Texas, where all the other patent trolls go to fuck over companies in the U.S. I'm not saying that's a bad thing that incorporate there. That's actually probably a really good thing.
In this case, it would be like, absolutely do that.
Yeah, it'd be a smart thing to do for sure. But yeah, they've had their issues. They're stuck in Japanese courts, and the fact that they're able to patent shit after the fact is fucking wild.
It's
that is exclusively not allowed in patent law in most of the West. So it's pretty nuts that they're allowing that to pass forward. And I'm guessing that's because Nintendo owns a good part of the government there too, which is not a bad thing as far as Japan's concerned, because Nintendo is a very popular company in the world, makes a lot of revenue. I'm not surprised that they use the goodwill of that to maintain Japanese presence in certain industries and certain markets, as well as to satisfy their happy company at home. So, more power to them. I'm not faulting them for that as a U.S. citizen. That's kind of fucking annoying. But that's their protectionism in play. So Pocket Pair would be really smart if they at least explored forming a company in the U.S.
No, they absolutely should. If for nothing else, then everything outside of the Palworld game, because they've spoken on wanting to do media, and if they can run that out of America,
that'll help.
It will tremendously. I can only hope that our little bit of speech here can make its way to some ears of someone that actually can carry it along. But who knows, right?
Well, you see, that's the thing is I can also understand where they'd want to make, and it's not faulting them for being a Japanese company and having that culture. I don't fault them on that. I'm assuming, which is bad, but I'm assuming that they would, on the assumption that they want to maintain Japanese employees for a Japanese company, that they'd rather have that kind of built-in talent to maintain the culture, that they're going to produce media the same way they did with Pokemon, or a slew of other properties that have come out of Japan, Digimon, et cetera, et cetera. If they're going to go down the Japanese anime route, then they're probably going to want to have Japanese voice actors, artists, and so on. And I'm not going to...
Oh, yeah, God forbid they use American voice actors is all I'm going to say. No, don't, no.
I'm just saying, Texas is somewhat multicultural, but you're probably going to find a lot more Jose's in Texas, or Johns.
You know what?
You're going to find.
I will take the whole thing having a Latin accent if that's what it fucking takes. I'm totally
that would be pretty fucking funny, though.
Because it would be fucking hilarious. It would be one of the most hilarious things ever.
Nobody would fucking expect that. That's the funny thing.
Oh, not at all.
What the hell, Maria?
Oh man, I'm telling you, it's good stuff. Absolutely.
I mean, getting the Spanish version would be pretty easy.
Yeah,
and it'd probably be on Univision too.
Perfect. See, man, already. See, we should be advising guys at Pocket Pair. I hope somebody can get this to them.
It's funny. So, Max Sand, or you recall him?
Yeah.
He does. He's I think one of the civilian peeps on the Nintendo has a civilian advisor, an unpaid position.
Huh.
And I think he gets flown out every so often. I think it's with Nintendo USA.
No shit.
Or Nintendo Japan, I don't know which one. But basically, all he gets to do is say, "Hey, you guys are fucking up," and then it's got absolutely no power to it whatsoever.
I see.
which is it's just like, okay, so basically you're just like a functionary that's pointless. It's like, yeah, okay.
Well,
So it would be I mean, maybe it would be interesting if one day he was able to tell them, hey guys, you're fucking up, and they listened to him. But I don't see that happening anytime soon. Certainly not with the Palworld stuff.
Yeah, probably not, considering it's pretty much an absolute direct competitor to Pokemon and kind of eats its lunch.
Yeah, that part's kind of what's one of the things that's screwing them, isn't it?
It's like, why did you have to do everything we do but better? Seriously.
Well, it's they felt that there was a very obvious demand in the market for a real like PC grade Pokemon game.
Yeah.
And it's never happened. It's all like, so the only one that's ever kind of happened is Pokemon Uranium, and that was third party, and it still exists, by the way. And there's actually a multiplayer component that still has active users. It's just that nobody fucking knows about it anymore. It's been like a decade plus since it came out.
Oh, well, there you go.
And it's not on Steam or anything like that. You just have to go find the thing and download the zip file and unzip it and play it.
Huh, wow.
So yeah, it's kind of like it is a video game. It's not one that's like published by a company and maintained by a company, etc., etc. It's a fan game, and it's great. It's just also, it's not like a game by Nintendo that is maintained and kept up to date with the current lore, etc. Current monster population, etc., etc.
Right.
So, in that sense, it's kind of old now. It's got its own mechanics. It's that they kind of tried to dodge Nintendo by making new of a whole bunch of stuff. And here's the thing: is if they were a real company right now, they'd probably be sued out of business. I mean, the fact, and I'll transition over to the story that I'm going to be bringing in of my own from the same thing here. So in that sense, it's already kind of in the crosshairs, as it were, as a fan developed thing. So speaking of fan developed things, well, what about emulators? Nintendo has gotten really litigious about emulators recently. So after a platform has basically lost its prevalence in the market, its primary market is gone. So, for instance, is Nintendo making Game Boy Color anymore? No. Are they making Game Boy Color games anymore? No. They're making N64 games anymore? No.
Mm-hmm.
So all these defunct platforms with all the games that they had, all the cartridge games that they had, they're no longer out there as new devices with new content. So how do you preserve this for history, posterity, and how do people continue having the ability to enjoy these games on these platforms? Well, the fact is, unless you own one, unless you've taken the time to go out there and find these things, and they get more expensive over time.
They do.
Even the ones that are junk, even the ones that are just for parts.
The thing is, too, it's a finite resource. Nobody's making new ones.
I mean, there every so often there's a new platform that claims to be able to play all kinds of stuff, and those people get sued out of business.
Mm-hmm.
So PC emulators are kind of the place where you can land and find not only all the ROMs for these cartridges, so you get all your ROM sets from games, and those are easy to find as a download. Then you need an emulator to play them. So emulators, as they've made their games more sophisticated to avoid piracy, particularly, that's the claim anyway. Basically, they want to prevent you from pulling ROMs and being able to play an emulator. They want to prevent a secondary market and have you come back to get a new device and buy new cartridges to be able to, or new digital IDs nowadays. So they switched things up. And Switch 2 is going to be fun because you're going to buy a cartridge that just has a serial number inside it that says you're allowed to download the game.
That is to say, you're going to buy a box with box art and pictures on the back and text, and then you're going to open it up, and it's going to have a card. Not a SIM card. No, a business card. And
no.
It might have a card.
It will have.
Oh, no, that's right. Card. It has a thing on it that directs you straight to the site that it downloads from. Right.
No. It's even better. It has a physical card. that you plug it in the machine. It has an ID on it, so there's a file inside that has a serial number. Basically, it's more sophisticated than that. We'll just say a serial number.
Sure.
That allows you to download the game to that device specifically, and your account is kind of registered with that serial number when you plug it in and you say, yeah, this is mine. So no one else can use it.
If you like.
So no one else can use it except for you. It's basically your account online on their server is then identified as having access to that game download. So you can get another Switch, Switch 2
hardware on that specific Switch.
No. You can get another Switch, and you can get another Switch 2, and you can download the game again because you bought it and it's now associated with your account. But that means there is no resale value. It's gone. The secondary market evaporated.
But there's an interesting part to this, in that if that hardware being tied to your account breaks the terms and services, because guess what, folks? That's new too.
There's an update to the firmware.
Has made the call that you break our terms, maybe we'll break your Switch.
This includes, by the way, if you have system mods, or they know you have used games that you're not allowed to, they will brick your device. So, how do you get around this? How would you be able to get around this? Well, you'd use an emulator, and this is something that Nintendo's been going after hard. I don't know if we did cover it very briefly, I think, before. Ryujinx was kind of like one of the hot emulators out there. I don't remember what the other one was called. It started with a Y, but it was forked off of that. So Nintendo's been going after them pretty hard. And when that happened with Ryujinx, I and a slew of others forked it on GitHub, as well as other places. There's various GitLabs that have it, which is kind of like GitHub, but like as an installer. So GitLab is kind of like GitHub, but personal, where you can load that up on whatever server you want, and it'll act as a Git repository source. It'll act as a separate source that you can base off of. So I knew that, and I also use GitHub. So I went ahead and forked it on GitHub, just because. And of course, what that meant is Nintendo eventually came along with a nastygram. So I have fun stuff I'm going to be doing to Nintendo in the future over this. Now, if I had the money and the time, and now the legal expertise, I would still probably just defer to another lawyer, because your realm of competence does not preclude you from having separate sets of eyes. That's just one of the things that you learn as you get into professional areas. Is even if you know you're doing everything right, you should still have someone else come in just to ask the questions to make you think better.
Something fool for a client.
Exactly. And that extends to the same thing for our doctors and patients, etc. So, also extends to things like engineering, software. And I went ahead and I responded by wiping out the repo and leaving up code of conduct, license, and README, and the original nastygram I got as an RTF. And of course, the repo is now more or less. So the title is still Ryujinx, but the about section just says "fuck Nintendo." The tags are, of course, Nintendo and fuck. So README is Nintendo decided Ryujinx bad, Nintendo good. Code of conduct is, of course, fuck Nintendo. As is the license, fuck Nintendo, but I copyrighted it as me 2025, all rights reserved. So, should Nintendo ever get upset about the fact that I said fuck Nintendo, they're violating my copyright, and I will be copyright striking them.
As well, you should. You'd be within your rights.
Why not? Yeah, and so what I'm probably going to do is upload the entire file tree that was originally there again, but probably replace everything inside it with fuck Nintendo. Now, their argument, of course, was, I thought, fantastic. They used a settlement of a case, out-of-court settlement of a specific case that they used, or that they claim they won. They used that settlement as the legal basis for demanding the takedown under DMCA's circumvention provisions.
Is that so? Which
is bullshit. From the law. This is where I said if I had the time and money, I would just take them to court and bounce them out of it, because this is fucking hilarious. But I don't have that, and I'm not going to have that. Even if I had the money right now, I do not have the time. Potentially inviting a 7+ figure claim against me as I'm getting into a job search is pretty much the peak of stupidity.
Yeah, it could be problematic.
So, even if I want an appeal, it doesn't fucking matter. That is so much of my time hoovered up into the black hole of stupid. So I'm not doing that. I wish I had the time and money, but I'm not. It's not like it's not something that like a GoFundMe is going to solve. Even if it was stupidly successful and I somehow made $1 million personally out of it, it's still not good enough because it's an entire career that needs to be compensated against, and so I'm not going to do that. Someone else can, and someone else should, because it's a bunch of repos that got hit. And they go out there, and it's very clear from perusing a couple of the repos that they came out against. It's very clear they just search Ryujinx in GitHub and go after everyone. So I'm going to be making several more repositories that involve Ryujinx. A lot of them, in fact.
No, nice.
They're going to have. I mean, please, by all means, start copyright striking, because those I will file a counter notice on, and I will inform them that they fucked up hard. And if they do it too much, then I can do something else that's funny. I can go ahead and just submit that to a court as a preliminary injunction and say, hey guys, they're abusing DMCA. In fact, they're doing this willingly and knowingly, and they're committing copy fraud. They're trying to claim my copyrighted work, which I'll be putting up copyrighted work of my own. They're trying to claim my copyrighted work as theirs. That is copy fraud. That is explicitly illegal. And hopefully by that point, I will have, I'll have gainful employment and so on. I'll be able to do my own filing to get started, or use an assistant. What are they called?
Paralegal?
Legal assistants. Yeah, paralegal. Thank you. Use a paralegal to get a lot of the paperwork shit done.
Mm-hmm.
And that, by the way, is that's one of the secrets in the industry, people, is you don't need a lawyer to file a form necessarily. You just need a paralegal to help you fill it out. A lawyer is great because they can actually go to the court and do stuff for you.
Sure.
Mind you, that's important. But when it comes to legal hours consumed for billing hours, paralegal is way cheaper. Any event, if they come after, if they don't modify their behavior, pursuing shit in an automated fashion, then they can take that up with a judge.
Yeah.
Because fuck that noise.
Yeah, that's the way the system was built. You're not supposed
to. That
to.
is a hell of a lot cheaper on my end, and a hell of a lot smaller in terms of time cost to throw that back at them, and basically get GitHub a bit of relief on this shit. Because surprisingly, so you can actually go and look at the DMCA repo on GitHub, where they collect all of these takedown notices. And you can go and look at how many they get. They actually get surprisingly few. I mean, you'd think that there'd be a lot more given the scope of what GitHub does, but they actually get surprisingly few. And yeah, it's clear they're just kind of doing a shotgun approach when it comes to this. They just search Ryujinx and just fire away. So, and if they keep coming back to the same repo, they keep coming back to mine, I'm just going to keep submitting the fun responses that I have, because my personal position on this, when I have the resources and I have the foreknowledge that I'm going to be able to get out of things, because, by the way, if the lawsuit costs more than the retainer fee for the lawyer that's doing the automated shit, then that's very frequently the case where they'll just drop the interest. And this is something I use on YouTube to my advantage. It's very often they'll just drop the interest. So I pull the FARC philosophy. I don't know if you've heard about them when they had to deal with a patent troll. I do not negotiate with terrorists.
I know. I remember that. That is a deep cut, by the way.
Yeah.
That is some old school internet lore.
So I follow that philosophy very explicitly. I do not negotiate with terrorists. I've done this several times with media companies on YouTube where they decide that my shit's not fair use. I stomp them. You need to curb stomp these fuckers immediately and tell them, these are the reasons. You fill out the form and you list out the reasons why you satisfied fair use, and then you send that off. And when they file, inevitably they will say no to that counter notice, and that means so the appeal's over. And that comes to the point where they try to email you directly. And I just tell them, I will drag this out as long as I have to in court, and I will make you pay for every step of it. And then at the end, I will sue for damages, as well as court costs and lawyer fees. Or sorry, lawyer costs and court fees. And at that point, their will to continue evaporates. So the difference here is that Nintendo is very much interested in getting rid of all copies of Ryujinx, and so I'm pretty sure they would waste the money to go after me. That's where that's where I have to decide. I can't continue because I do not have the money or the time. The time I spend on sending someone a notice saying I'm going to fuck your day up is a lot shorter than potentially years in court.
Now, that said, you might be able to find some internet lawyers that might be willing to just jump in.
That's the thing, is I could probably go to EFF and a variety of others and say this, this, that, and the other. But again, there's that invitation of potential 7+ figure settlement where I'm the one who's liable. And that's not something you can go bankrupt to get around.
Yeah, I suppose there is.
That's garnishing my wages for my entire life plus. So I'll just I have to let that slide, which sucks. But again, there's other ways I get to have my fun here, and so they're not out of the woods yet. They can eat. Well, I'll be politer than I can be. I'll say this, my response to them is not permitted to be written out in text on X. So I'll follow up on how I'm having fun with that. Oh, also expect all of the production and title keys and firmwares to turn into some form of graphical art that they are not able to take away, because specifically fair use laws protect that, and lawsuits with Sony have set precedent that they cannot get around. If you remember that they had the encryption keys from Sony that were printed on T-shirts for their Blu-ray players, they tried to sue for that, and they got laughed out of court with a final judgment. So it's not a settlement or anything like that. They got their shit kicked in. So in that sense, I could just publish the keys on T-shirts. And that is not circumvention as an issue. They cannot get around that via DMCA. They are just outright not able to pursue that. So fuck them. And I'll be following up on that in a way that's going to be annoying for them.
Oh, I hope so. Good luck.
Yeah. So I still have the repo. It's still up. Funny enough, so there's 77. So you're supposed to go through and do their sensitive data removal thing, and it gets rid of basically all the commit history. But all the tags are still up. And the tags contain the source code. Weird. So as of May 14th, 2024, there's a tag there that has the source code.
How about that?
And this is the thing is I cannot just go through and delete all these things in an automated fashion, and I should not be expected to delete. How many was it? 1,390 of them. So I'm not gonna. Why am I expected to do that? If there should be an automated way to just get rid of that. I said to them. I said to GitHub. I can't. This still needs to be deleted. And they haven't really said anything back that I'm aware of at the moment.
Well, it sounds like you've done your due diligence.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I should check my Gmail and see if they sent me another email. Just double check here.
Oh yeah, couldn't hurt to check.
Let's see. There's that one, and then.
But while you're checking that, I've got a real super quick update here on an event we discussed actually in the last episode. And it would appear that the autistic Somali boy wasn't actually 5 years old. He was actually 9 years old. And
how about that?
Autistic. His family was actually just scamming the system for money. And of course, the other part.
Hold on a second. Okay. You said his family. You said his family. Does that mean he has parents?
Oh yeah. That they.
So where the fuck were they?
Yeah, that
I'm
brings
just
up
curious.
question that we were.
Are they in the picture at all?
Last week? Well, they certainly weren't
Did
in
they
any
even
of the
know
videos.
they saw the sun?
They certainly were not in any of the videos. So they weren't within videoing distance, for whatever that means. But definitely not on the scene, which might have been helpful. And of course, we already talked about the guy that allegedly raped a minor. That was making such a big stink about it. You use inward, you inward user. That fellow.
That was more Indian than Somali.
Was it?
I know there's. Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
I'll have to practice.
He says he did not redeem, but he did.
There you go. But I'll have to practice my Somali accent. What? I am the captain now. There we go.
That's better.
I'm working on it. Of course, we've got the breaking news here.
Look, man, if you're going to try and be racist, you need to be good at it. I'm not going to accept any of this third-rate shit.
Hey, look, I can identify a Ghanaian next to... esoteric racism is so funny.
Yeah, I can identify an Eritrean next to a guy from New Guinea. What?
Oh, yeah, you can tell by the clicks. Anyway.
Oh. Yeah, there's your advanced racism for the day.
There you go. Oh, but on a related note, I've got this. This is a few days ago, so I think that it's since been resolved. But this was breaking news as of May 8th. Apparently, a judge, Boasberg, issued a temporary restraining order against the Vatican, which for time stopped them from determining the Pope because he totally has that authority or fucking whatever.
Of course.
That's a fun little bit out from Muse on the 8th. But, that fella's a real piece of work. Fella's a real piece of work. But you know who else is? That guy who's a terrorist and is on the terrorist watch list. You may have heard of him.
Oh.
He goes by Jelani. He's apparently he's a big peacemaker in Syria now. Or something. I lean a little bit further into the or something categorization because we got some updates. A happy little update out of Syria. About back when all those innocent people that were kept in Sidnaya prison. All of those political prisoners. All those. Like the one guy, the guy that had the nice, had his nails done, had the nice manicure, the nice shave, the nice haircut that had been in there for 7 months without food, light, water, or air. That guy who hadn't been able to shit anywhere, yet was somehow in a clean cell and was also starved for 9 months or whatever it was. That guy. Well, anyway, so the people that were freed from there, anyway, it would appear that something has happened. There's a Sunni child, a Syrian child, has been kidnapped and is being ransomed by some of the folks that were there, and as you can imagine, it's perfectly humanitarian and humane. The child is utterly safe. He's not being my mistake. Sorry. The kidnappers are torturing him and sending audio to his parents. Just as you do. And then, of course, we've got the other story out of Syria. A young lady that went off to college and I believe it was to meet with one of her professors or something. And then HTS just grabbed her up and forcibly married her to one of their people. And she recently came back into society, with wounds on her hands and looking pretty upset. Not able to speak. The only woman that's allowed to go out in a niqab but take the face covering off for some reason. Maybe because she has a pretty face, and that's the only part of her that they didn't beat black and blue. Who can say? Being that she was wearing a niqab. But so congratulations. Good job freeing Syria. I'm told the Syrians are tremendously happy with the situation and state of affairs there. I don't like what's happened in Syria. If you can guess that, it would appear that things got worse.
How you really feel?
Oh, we're posting on YouTube these days, so no.
Are we?
Yes, and as a matter of fact, it's still there somehow. We're a few days out, and let's just say that internet eunuchs may have better things to do. And this is where I would normally mention a specific internet eunuch, but we'll keep it short and just say, Lucas, fuck off.
Sorry.
Stay fuck off.
God, there are so many names I want to mention.
There are 3 specific ones, I know, but we'll keep it simple. We'll just ask Lucas to be polite. Please.
No, it's not just Lucas.
Oh,
it's,
no, there's any number. Any number.
Lizard Dong Don.
There are many Troonshine consumers who would be more than happy.
Lucas John Roberts.
All right, so we'll see. We'll see if this this one gets a strike. Probably will. And that said, you can find us on Odyssey Live, where we are right now. Find the show on Rumble, of course, on BitChute, and also on all your streaming platforms. So do make sure you're subscribed in all the places.
All the Spotify, everything.
We'll have to wait 90 days before the next episode gets uploaded to YouTube.
That's me. I'm sorry.
Maybe not, but probably.
You see, in 1967, a Polish mercenary, Ralph Ganowicz, was asked what it feels like to take human life. And he said, I wouldn't know, I've only ever killed communists. So it seems relevant.
Oh, and just as a super quick reminder, Jelani does have American kills under his belt. He has killed Americans when he was working in Iraq. Just as a quick reminder, you can really move along in life and find yourself in fascinating new places. But you know what doesn't move along so much? You're gonna love this one, Greg. You're gonna love this one. You heard about that ban on gain of function research, right?
I did.
Did you hear about it in depth? Because there's an eensy beensy little thing about it that you may not have been aware of. You see, well, you see, we're no longer going to be allowing any of that gain of function research abroad.
Good.
But it will still be allowed here, of course. Which I think.
Well, Steve has
developing these weapons.
Steve has the interesting position on that. Now, I think that as far as weaponization, that should be kind of a categorical no. Mm-hmm. Defense against the weaponization is difficult because we don't want to actually generate them, which I think is actually still worth, at least theoretically, if not literally, researching into to some degree. I think that us having BSL-4 labs here that are functional versus the ones that are over there.
Yeah, the only reason it got out of one of our labs is because it got sent out. And it didn't escape, and it didn't get out into the fucking population. It was completely safe all the way up to fucking Canada.
Now, I will say this. I'll say this. Here, in the U.S., we have had a couple of escape events. But the way we handled them is a hell of a lot different. Because, one, we knew they fucking happened.
Grossly and vastly different.
And two, they never turned into a global pandemic.
Exactly.
So, we have a great track record of catching this shit, publicly acknowledging it to the whole fucking world in a timely manner, and also solving the problem that fucking month. Like, just done.
Yeah.
No global.
Remember the whole Ebola thing when everybody was scared to fucking death of this thing that's
that too.
Like a 66% death rate?
Now, I still agree with Trump that we never should have allowed those 3 people back into the U.S. while they were still infected. But the fact that they were brought in, and effectively in plastic caskets, ventilated and still alive, they're alive in there, but they're basically brought in a plastic casket.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're in. They're a plastic box with some tubes going in and out, with really good filtration, and nothing gets in or out besides the air that's allowed, or pee, whatever. You get the idea.
Yeah, they're
brought through fully quarantined, and everything that they touch as an infected person gets fucking incinerated at the end. That's what happens to bio-waste, by the way. It goes into an incinerator where it is fucking destroyed at 5,000 Fahrenheit plus. So, all the infectious shit goes away. There's no like, oh, we'll just throw our lab waste into the general disposal like you get in China. By the way, that happens too. So we have a great track record here, and more importantly, what also just recently happened? Somebody shut down a lab. Why? Because there was a worry about the culture of what was going on inside there, and there was also a worry that there was potential for an event, especially after what was the inception of all this. The precipitating event was some employee of I think it was a delivery employee or whatever, cut a hole intentionally in a suit. One of the work suits they use for these highly infectious kind of super pathogens. Someone poked a hole in someone else's Class B suit. So the lab got shut down, which is exactly what should happen.
Yes.
Exactly what should happen. Now, keep in mind, this wasn't like it was a pinhole. Someone took some scissors and cut out, like, a hole the size of a tennis ball or softball. Like, it was not subtle
at all. No.
So like, at least there isn't, like, at least we don't have a worry of, like, people trying to be, sly about it. Like putting the, things like the mother who wants a kid stapling the condom to a letter. It wasn't like one of those kind of moments. It was less subtle than that. You know what I mean? Like, it was kind of obvious. But it's still, like, because that was noticed as they're putting the suit on to go into work. So, like, the guy had the suit on. As far as I understand, the guy had the suit on, and they do buddy systems. And the other guy, he turned around. The other guy saw his shirt underneath. So it's like, oh, well, that's a problem.
Hey, bud,
take your suit off.
You got a thing there.
Now the thing is, they also, so a Class B suit runs you anywhere from like $300 to $1,000, and while you can get them, as if they're effectively disposable, you're not going to spend that much money every day, and there are suits that are made that are reusable. They can sterilize them. In fact, you can sterilize the dispo ones in very much the same way. You can you can autoclave them after you've run them through a whole fuck ton of UV light and ozone, effectively. So, fact is, this is like the work suit they use in the lab. It's not like they do have spares on hand, but it's not like they're just going to kind of run through a whole bunch of spares, looking to make sure every one of them's not got a hole in it. This is supposed to be a problem.
The box of Tyvek suits that you buy from fucking Walmart or whatever.
Yeah. So actually, the Class A suits, which are like those bunny suits, you wear underneath the Class B suit, which has SCBA inside it. So, this was a problem, and they're getting down to the bottom of it. They're going to reopen the labs, I'm sure, at some point. This is head of HHS shut down a lab.
Just a quick note, by the way, we're not talking about the laboratories like the one discovered in California that was run off power from a building nearby and an
no, this is not a Chinese lab.
Nationalists, Chinese nationals, and spies. Not that kind. That's a
little. This is ours.
Yeah, that's different. Just to clarify.
We're talking about one of ours. I think this one was a BSL-3, but that's still got really dangerous shit in it. A BSL-4 is like the worst. BSL-3 is concerning, to say the least, that this was going on. So obviously, I agree. If you work at a place like this, you have to expect occasionally, even if you know everything, you're going to be going through training routinely. So the fact that they're going to all have to go through training to get through this, fine. I know I would be frustrated. I know I'd also understand that I have to do this because this is scary shit that they're dealing with. Like, it's scary enough when you're working around equipment that can, like, take your hand off without, like, slowing down. When it can release dangerous shit into the public.
Yeah,
you have to go through the training.
Yeah, it's one thing
there's no question
with a mill or a lathe or something, and you could lose a body part. It's another entirely when you could lose
a city,
the Eastern Seaboard.
So again, I know I would be frustrated. I'm certain they're frustrated there that they're not able to get their work done. I get it. It's like that when you have to go through standard routine training. I totally get it. It sucks. You do it anyway because it's your job. That's thing is, I was doing this shit as a student. Where as a grad student you get paid very little. As an undergrad, you get paid nothing. You're paying. In fact, for a lot of my PhD, I was paying because I basically ran out of project, and I was committed to getting my goddamn work done. So, you go through that training as that. But if you're getting paid to do it as part of your job, there should be way less angst about it. Obviously, you got to get your shit done. You got to get your quarterly report in. Blah blah blah. But you're also getting a salary out of it. Like, be appreciative of that alone, and that'll get you through it. You know what I mean? It's like it's the price of entry to a theme park is you get to play with big boy toys. You got to write reports to pay for it, and sometimes you got to sit through some boring ass shit to pay for it too. So
meetings, good time.
While it's annoying, yeah, exactly. Like this is just all part of it, and this happens regardless if there's ever going to be a shutdown. You have to go through and do the training because part of this is public assurance. Not like insurance or anything, but like you're supposed to be assuring the public that people who are doing this stuff know what they're doing, and that they're competent.
Hey, we
and
can be trusted
clearly,
with
it
these
wasn't the guy's fault that his
suit
suit got cut.
Kind of
Well,
thing.
Clearly, it's not the guy's fault that his suit got cut open, but clearly there was something in the culture there that allowed it to happen. And it could be a one-off. It could be a fluke. But there was the reason the cited reason is not just the one event. They said there's an issue with the culture there. There's a culture of lax safety. This is something that you see in CSB reports all the time. The Chemical Safety Board reports, they do follow-up reports for every chemical plant incident. And oftentimes you will find in those reports, they say there was an unsafe culture in the work environment, and this precipitated this event. Oftentimes when you read through the root cause analysis diagrams, which brings you out to the main root causes of what happened, and I remember having to do a whole bunch of those when I was going through my safety training and safety classes. You'll find oftentimes one of the root causes is indeed a lack of safety awareness and a lack of safety as a concern. Like the culture in the work environment is just unsafe. People just say, you can skip that, it doesn't matter. Who needs to do this? This is make work bullshit. Like, no, sometimes that stuff is there for a reason. And the safety training is part of that. So I'm glad they're doing it. I'm kind of annoyed that this was a culture that was allowed inside of a safety lab. Sorry, a biosafety lab.
I have
lab.
to be honest. I really wonder how something so egregiously dangerous could be part of any culture other than just raw vengeance.
Well, I think so. So again, like I said, it wasn't just the one thing. There was other stuff that was going on. I'm guessing it involved things like leaving a door open so that someone had easy access to get back in after lunch. Things that would seem like just.
Now that one I get. That's professional courtesy.
That's a ballpark example.
But like, that's going
again,
so far past pranking somebody that I don't even understand what can allow something like that to occur.
Well, like I said, the precipitating event that invited an investigation was a hole in a suit. So clearly there was other stuff going on that they found. Clearly it was a good thing that someone was a dickhead like that. And I think it was an outside, like a delivery person that did it because they were upset with someone. Whatever the cause, fine.
That is also quite horrifying that a complete outside agent could come in and fuck with your safety gear. Holy shit. Right. Wow.
Right.
Wow. Yeah, that needs a review for fucking sure.
Right. So that's the concern there. Now, again, I'm glad they're doing it. I know it's annoying. They're going to get through it. They're getting paid to go through it. So, I mean, we're paying them, to be fair, but they're going through it. And the workers there who are safe, fantastic. The ones who are making the lab less safe, hopefully they learn their lesson and they do things better, or they get fired. If someone there is complaining too much, if someone decides they're going to be the squeaky wheel, even if they're competent otherwise, if they're making the place less safe, make the example. Fire them.
The thing is,
safe. I prioritize safety over
that you don't cross, and sometimes you have to make them very hard, firm lines.
So
you cross the line, that's all. It's done.
So they're getting through it. They'll sort it out. we'll have safe labs because that shit just does not fly here.
Do you think?
I mean, I'm glad they shut it down.
Indeed. Speaking of labs that are safe and or not safe, and also taken down, we should probably mention the thing that happened at UW just a few days back. They had they have a $150 million engineering building at UW.
Yeah, Boeing.
Yeah, at Boeing.
The Boeing building.
Yep. And
has some. What happened there? Right tell.
Well,
it does.
Some kids they got inside.
Some rat kids.
Yeah. Well, you could say that. So
some Letitia James.
Well, there's two parts to this story. The first one, of course, is that we got some pro Hamas kids that are coming in and doing their thing, and causing a ruckus, doing they say initial estimates without anyone actually coming in, just initial estimates from people taking a quick look day one of at least $1 million in damage, probably more.
Wow.
Having seen some of the pictures.
Yeah, I saw they were fucking up the inside of that building. That's not cool.
Yeah, and many $100,000 Haas machines and all sorts of stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the deal on this stuff is, and I remain consistent on this, and it's critical distinctions that are involved here. You can walk around and say the dumbest shit you want on a college campus, and nobody has to give a. If you shout fire in a theater, that's different. But if you're just walking around shouting, you can be reading Mein Kampf, strolling around campus through a bullhorn, right? During finals week, even. And someone might file a noise complaint, but supposing you're doing it with 10 or 20 of your buddies, and you're all having a great time being assholes, and fuck you if you do that. Free speech, fine. The moment you start doing property damage, like they did, if you start breaking the law, doing obvious on their face, stupid and damaging criminal acts, get the fuck out and never come back. It's this. You are allowed to be a dumbass in your 20s, in your early 20s. 18 to 24, that range. That is the time to shine the brightest retard you've got in you.
That is peak dumbass years. That is the perfect time to make bad decisions.
You're an adult, and that is when you are allowed to be a dumbass, but be held responsible as an adult and learn that yes, you really are an adult. You're no longer a child. There are still things that are so on their face ridiculous that if you do them and you are an adult, you should be punished for them harshly as a fucking adult. Because it is obvious on its face. If you walk into a building and you destroy a brand new fucking building, you're in there tearing shit up, you're doing something wrong. This is not like, are we really so sure that they're doing the right thing or the wrong thing here? No, this is shit you learned in fucking first grade. That's not your stuff, that's their stuff, don't break it. It's not yours, it's theirs. And by theirs, I mean the universities.
Mm-hmm.
Boeing was nice enough to hand them stuff. You walk in and start crying out the fact that Boeing's involved and start breaking it, guess who gets the bill? I think that these people should all be kicked out, they should be held liable, and they should be stuck with the bill on this one. If Boeing comes in and they're nice enough to hand over $1 million to solve the other issues, great. But ultimately, the restitution should land on the people who did the damage.
Now that said, I've linked an article here that's out of let me see here, out of the Washington State Standard, that actually is looking at some of the local folks, and they're saying a lot of what you are actually. There's not a whole lot of sentiment that's supporting these kids in this specific incident, at least locally.
Yeah, here's the thing: is you can be pro Hamas even, and I think you should be able to agree with me on this one.
Well, I'm not pro Hamas, so go for it.
I'm not talking about you. I'm not even talking about you. I'm saying
I got you, brother.
You can not like Israel and still think this is a stupid thing that they did, that it's a bad thing that they did. Like again, and we have our differences on some of these issues, and that's fine.
It comes back down to the really super.
But I think we agree on this one.
There is no one in the fucking world that is helped by your dumb ass sitting in the middle of a fucking road.
Yeah. That's the other thing that was funny about the GTA 6 thing is I think someone was saying, can we add in this to stop oil people?
That will be an excellent mod for the Pride Parades, I'm telling you. Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe they can have... You know what? I think the game could be even more inclusive. I think it could use some BLM marches.
Yeah, it could. It
It
could.
really could. That'd be great. I'm very hopeful that I will be able to have a character, like my main character, if I can customize. I would like that very much. I'm just saying, Sam Hyde needs to be driving around in Vice City. Is all I'm saying. Nice
With a Burger
large
King hat on.
truck, you know. Yeah, perhaps, you know, Big King. Mode.
Yeah. So these students are not helping anyone. All they're doing is drawing attention to their desperate pleas for attention. They're getting it. Congratulations, guys. So on the way out of this building, so what happened? The brilliant thing, of course, was they all filed into the building dutifully to walk around, braying out their different slogans and beating up people and breaking shit.
Mm-hmm.
They got trapped inside because, of course, they went to a fucking building.
No. That was not UW. That's Columbia.
Oh, okay, that was
I'll
a
get
different
into
one.
that in just a second.
Okay, well,
I want to segue directly into that because it's delicious.
Please do. I have clearly been confused. So please do.
Oh well, not so much of a confusion. I mean, they happen about the same time. So what happened is the UW thing happened. They did all that, and not a lot. From what I understand, there's like 7-8 people that have been arrested out of that so far, and there needs to be a lot more. Now, what you had just mentioned, this one, Columbia University.
This is probably the one I was thinking of the whole time, which is not good.
No. You're conflating the two, which is fine because they happened basically like within days of each other.
Yeah, so I know at Columbia, I knew UW, but at the same time,
the Columbia University one, they stormed the library.
Yeah.
And well,
it makes sense. The picture I had in my head was a whole bunch of books on the wall, which is not the same thing.
Yeah. So they did that. They all filed in there, and they were loud, and they were angry, and they were going to make a change.
This is during finals, of course. Finals week.
Mm-hmm. Oh yes. As you know.
Let's be clear. Why would anybody be upset about a bunch of loud assholes in the library in finals week?
As a matter of fact, let me quote from the Seattle Times in an interview with the organizers who are part of a student group called Students United for Palestinian Equity and Return UW. They told the paper they wanted to, quote, repurpose a building that is meant to make weapons of war to a place that serves the needs of students and workers at the University of Washington. So that's the UW one.
My favorite part about the UW one also is that they decided that the building has a new name, which nobody's going to fucking use.
Yeah, right.
The name lasted for as long as they were in the building.
Mm-hmm.
It's done now. Sorry, continue. So, Columbia.
So, then in Columbia, Claire Shipman, recently installed president, called the protest on Wednesday utterly unacceptable. I could read all the rest and yada yada yada. I'll have a link to an article out of the Inside Higher Ed article on this because it's got a little bit on everything. Gives you a good index on what's going on. But the important thing here is that something a little different happened to these New Yorkers, and that would be that the staff decided to fucking do something and not be a bunch of played out bitches. They stood in front of the door, and they didn't move. They just stood there, stern as you can be. There's some great videos. I wish I had them right offhand, but they pulled the fire alarms. They're like, the fire alarm is going off. You have to let us out. We could die.
Now, why did they do that, though? Why did they do that? Well, it was pretty straightforward. They were told, if you want to exit this building, you have to either show your ID or you get arrested.
Mm-hmm.
So they said, oh, we'll go ahead and we'll circumvent this. We'll pull the fire alarm, so they have to let us out.
Well,
that worked out in their favor.
Did not do what they had hoped. So as of now, there's about 80 of those pro-Hamas guys and gals that are under arrest, and I'm sure ICE will be wanting to just have a look at the names and statuses of the individuals just to make sure that, they're perfectly legal, and maybe if they're not, they'll join a certain New Jersey legislator in the crink. Because that happened too. And how could I not say this without segueing into that? So there was a bit of
Oh, please. This is great.
Oh, yeah. So in New Jersey,
nobody can be upset at this one.
So there's a fella. He's kind of the mayor of New York, New Jersey, and he's kind of been arrested for kind of storming the ICE facility.
You know what's a really smart idea? Forcing your way into a prison. Because they have a cell waiting just for you.
It's funny how
I think they should have allowed them in. I think they should have escorted them directly to an empty cell and locked them inside.
Well, actually, that's kind of what happened.
I mean, how stupid are you, right?
There we go. Yeah, Ross Baraka arrested at ICE detention facility in New Jersey, Newark. So, Mayor of Newark, Ross Baraka, committed trespass and ignored multiple warnings from Homeland Security investigations to remove himself from the ICE detention center on Newark, New Jersey this afternoon, said Alina Haba. And we've also had a little bit more, too. It looks like some of the other folks with the city, too, may have assaulted ICE members, not merely verbally, but actually physically. So there could be some more arrests coming. And, well, Tom Homan, he's all about it. Bless his sweetheart. Bless his sweetheart. Thanks, Tom. Doing God's work, man. God's work. We appreciate you, brother. We do. So, yeah, there's your little kind of around the world in 80 days update. But let's bring it back home. Let's ground this. As a matter of fact, let's underground this. Why don't we? Why don't we take it deep underground with $21 trillion worth of digging? Where am I going with this?
So that one, I want evidence because so far all I've got is someone's bullshit.
Well, we have someone's bullshit who worked in a position to know. Now, is it bullshit? Is it not?
Sure.
I don't know. But
that's the thing.
But we do need more on this. There have been consistent reports that there are all these DUMBs, deep underground military bases, that exist around the U.S., and there's some...
Now, there's some of them that are...
It's hard to say that there is not one under the Colorado airport. That's just there probably is.
There's some of these that may or may not be... So here's the deal. There's some military bases. They don't have to be deep, but they're definitely underground.
Mm-hmm.
The idea that there is a vast network of these that are connected by rail...
Or whatever. Connected in some way.
Or whatever. That are somehow connected by transport underground.
Yeah.
They're somehow connected by transit underground on a continent scale where we have, and including off coast, where we have
that was mentioned
tectonic activity, where we have widespread tectonic activity. I don't buy it. I just fucking don't. Now, I'm not saying that it's impossible. I'm just saying that you need to show me the fucking evidence.
Well,
now, I get that it's $21 trillion. $21 trillion.
In and of itself, it's not... Any given
instance, possible.
Any given instance is not unreasonable. This network of transport or connections that...
Well, here's the deal. Is this comes down...
The logistics of that are so crazy that I don't think we have a technology that could make that happen.
No, we can do it. We can do it. Here's the thing, though, is with a great claim comes a great demand for evidence.
Well,
all I've gotten so far is a claim.
But
and there is just a wide
tunnel that runs from New York to fucking Orlando.
Well, again, there is it's possible, but again, where's the evidence? And if we just have someone's claim, we don't have evidence because we have plenty of claims in asylums. I'm not saying this person's nuts, but I'm saying that we haven't seen a shred of evidence besides just trusty bro.
Well, that's not true. We haven't seen evidence of the transport things. We have seen evidence of these underground bases.
No, we are publicly disclosed.
But I get what you're
underground
saying.
military bases. They're not deep underground. They're just underground.
No, they might be. There is a base under Montauk.
I mean, here's the other thing: is we have a new acronym. Here's my problem. Also, is we have a new acronym with a fuzzy definition. What is the definition of deep here? We don't have that. Okay, so does that mean the problem here is that we have a slew of known underground bases. Are these going to be DUMBs or not? Are these just underground or are they deep underground? Are they going to be included in this fanciful network or not?
Yeah, that's a fair question.
And I bet you the response to that's going to change depending on whether or not the person who's asking is antagonistic about it.
That's fair.
I guarantee you that it's going to change. Like that is the problem with these things is they're not concrete, they're not specific, and they're very easily inclusive of things that are surface level plausible in such a way that it's going to spread as conspiracy. And I understand the idea of a conspiracy theory. We're like 30 years out from admitting something is true here, but at the same time, just fucking rip the Band-Aid off and tell us now. If you've got evidence, just fucking show us. Tell us.
That would be nice. But, you make a good point in that. There could be an aspect of this, which might be the one that I'm, zooming in on immediately, and that being the transit network and its, kind of infeasibility. That might be the whole,
it is feasible.
Nazis are on the moon, so obviously UFOs are fake kind of aspect.
Well, here's where I say that the feasibility aspect is the Hoover Dam at the time would have been otherwise claimed as infeasible. It fucking happened. You can go there and walk on it. I've been over it several times. I know that dam exists. I'm not saying I have to be able to walk in the transit tunnels or walk through the military bases, but somebody, if you're spending $21 trillion over decades, that's not a 10-person team who's doing it.
No.
That's a lot of fucking people.
Where
the fuck are they?
That's a whole industry. Quite literally.
So where the fuck are they? You're not going to keep tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people quiet like that.
Well,
you're just not.
Well,
so where the fuck is the picture? Where's someone's Snapchat where they've showed this?
Hello? It's on Dumpstagram. Have you ever been down into the Dums and got on their internet? No. So obviously you haven't seen the pictures that they're posting amongst themselves. Obviously they're living in the underground cities, Craig.
Right, so, but you get the idea. It was like,
no, I get what you're coming from.
And here's the thing: is even if it's so transparently obvious to us that it's been there the whole time, somebody make it obvious, like, right? If it's all kind of been in our, kind of subtly in our faces, and we just haven't recognized it for what it is. Show it, make it obvious. Like it's that simple.
Denver International.
Where is it? This is not like, hey, it's a satellite in space. This is like, hey, stomp on the ground. You should be able to hear the hollow ringing, right?
Well, that depends how deep it is.
Where's the guy? Where's the guy with the surveying? Where's the guy doing the ground surveys for putting a house down? Who finds a big hollow space underneath it? Well, for new construction, not for something that they planned ahead of time. Somehow they planned ahead of time and knew where every new house is going to be, every field for growing corn is going to be. I don't think so.
Depends on how.
So where the fuck are they?
And one would presume.
No, if it's within 1,000 feet, if it's within 1,000 feet of the surface, then a ground surveyor is going to see it.
Well, presumably
at minimum.
But I don't.
Well,
I don't
presumably they can still see lower, buddy. That's the thing, they can see 50,000 feet down.
I haven't been into a deep underground military base, so I can't say. All I'm doing is reporting on the facts as they stand.
But again, just saying here, like the evidence that this thing exists. This network exists wherever it is. Like, it's got to be somewhere.
It's not the most plausible thing, but we do know for sure there are underground bases. There are probably
there are underground bases.
Ones. How deep? Don't know. But
so I'll say this: the military is not. The military does not have them that deep.
Give me a second. A perfect example of this is Montauk. Montauk is where a whole bunch of wild shit was done in research. It's the basis of Stranger Things. It's where, a lot of these early wild and crazy CIA mind experiments and shit were done. And got some surprising results. And you can go there now. I don't know if you can go there right now, but people have gone there, taken video. It's dilapidated. It's run down. Basically, the place doesn't have power except for one big fucking power station that runs underground that has a shitload of power running to and through it somewhere underground. And it's the only power in town. So there's something there. What? Don't know. How deep? Don't know. How far down? Don't know. What's it doing? Don't know. But it's there. I'd love to have the answers. I don't. But, you know, we've got these weird situations, and the best we can do is, I guess, discuss them as we are, but also bring light to them so that, you know, maybe somebody that does know can say something.
Well, again, if, you know, it's just a fucking if. If it exists, interesting. All right, $21 trillion. So, how are we going to recoup that? That's kind of the question there. What exactly is so? Here's the other thing: is there are some science installations
that are unanswered questions than we do. If this is
legit. Well, no, let's just continue on this. There's some underground science installations as well. Again, very public. Ice Cube is one of them. There's the one that's what the hell is it? It's like outside
there was
Kyoto.
A fucking pit at Azovstal.
Well, there's these neutrino detectors, which are giant underground installations, because they need to be underground to get rid of the muon noise from above.
Oh, absolutely. Perfect example is the Large Hadron Collider, or the proposed next one.
LHC is one of them.
Still and deeper still.
The SSC, which was going to be in Texas. Hopefully, we bring that back as a proposal, because that was something we should have discovered the Higgs boson in the 90s in the United States. Just by the way. That was a thing.
We have a base on Mars and a city on the moon. But
already,
anyway.
Yeah. And here's the other side of that is $21 trillion would have covered all of that thousands of times over.
Yeah.
Thousands.
Never mind how much that would have covered as far as getting us to cold fusion too.
So again, when we cry and squeal over every penny pushed into science, and I understand it's not the same thing here. But when they say the number $21 trillion for an underground installation or an underground network of installations, I've got some pretty simple questions, and none of them have answers. And again, dramatic claims, drastic claims, big claims require big evidence. And that's the only place that's how we have to leave it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, it's kind of like saying Hitler ended up in Argentina. That's a fascinating story until I get evidence for it. Now we do.
Yeah, and then
now we actually have it. Right. So in this case,
that said though,
in this case,
I mean, case in point is for the longest fucking time you were the craziest of crazy assholes. If you said that Hitler escaped to anywhere and had a family and died of old age or whatever, it's like no.
Or the CIA had a role to play in killing one of our presidents.
Right.
So again, I'm not averse to the idea, but when you're talking about, remember, our national debt is in the 30s of trillions. If you're talking about 21 of that going to that,
well, not just 21, huge. Not like 21 right now. 21 over like 30 years.
Right, but again, let's consider that we already found like $6 or $7 trillion of that debt as outright fraud. Not like fraud someone can tap into for $21 trillion to make a vast underground network of installations. I'm talking about just fraud that wasted money and went out into the ether. It's gone. Nobody was doing anything nefarious about it. It was just a bunch of people taking advantage of us.
Well, that is to say...
So it does not leave a whole lot left. That does not leave a whole lot left for that $21 trillion to come from. Right? And our government does have legitimate expenses it has made over time. So I just do not buy that is a thing yet, because I don't see how there's enough resources for it to have happened yet.
Well, there's that whole, Department of Defense not really being able to make a budget since that would kind of account for a fair
still sum. Coming up short. They're still coming up short on $21 trillion by trillions of dollars.
True, but not a whole lot of them.
Right, but not enough money there's not enough money to make up that difference. Even if you claim, the whole $20 hammer versus $5 hammer thing, you're still not getting enough money by difference to make up that gap.
And I understand your point, and it is a fair point to make. But we got to.
Maybe it's a $12 trillion thing. Yeah.
And we're finally we're just seeing so much shit on conspiracy theories that aren't theories anymore. So, I mean, it behooves us to report on this.
Well, it's in some. You have to keep in scope here that some of the aspects of the theories that were going around before have turned out to just be a bunch of bullshit. So it turns out that the actions that were brought about to come to the results that everyone agreed upon were not as clandestine, nefarious, and complex. Some of them were just simple human greed and embarrassment, which is the reason why they were covered up in the first place. In that case, obviously, it's part of the reason for overclassification is embarrassment. It's not even like, hey, it would destabilize the U.S. That's just an excuse. Sometimes it's just, for instance, a bunch of CIA agents raping children in South America or Central America.
Well, on that note, I can't think of a more perfect segue to what also came out this last week, and that's going to be from James O'Keefe. He one of his people got a chance to meet with someone kind of important, a fellow by the name Mr. Bryan, Mr. John Bryan. You may or may not have heard his name, but if you haven't, he was the royal family advisor and close friend to
He's an American too.
Mm-hmm. He was basically his.
He has the free speech on his side, at least, sort of.
Indeed. So,
might be important soon.
What's happened here is that he just came out and said it. That simple as he was fucking kids. That is correct. Yes, according to the testimony of this fella, that was the
you say testimony. So here's an interesting thing, real quick. As I posted this out, and someone else had mentioned that it's not important because this is because they have a bias against O'Keefe. They said it's not important. This has all come out in court already. It's like, okay, well, one, he hasn't just said it in public before, and had someone record it. So this was actually pretty fucking huge.
Yeah, kind of.
Two, if it's in court, if it came out in court testimony, why doesn't everybody have the court testimony? So there's an access issue here. Having a video of this guy just saying it on camera, I think is way more important than having some printed out testimony text that has basically the same kind of veracity expectation.
Well,
I don't care if they swore an oath in court to make a difference. That's like saying, do you swear on the life of your mom if you're going to start lying to your friends? If you're going to lie, you're going to lie anyway. So if this guy is a liar, like he has no expectation to need to hide the truth at whatever dinner function he was at where he was talking to that lady. Like he had no expectation to have a need to, there's like, is this going to be an embellishment? No, he's too fucking old to really give a shit at this point too. The fact is, this guy, Prince Andrew, he got basically kicked out. He got stripped of his royal family entitlements for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out it's because he was fucking kids.
Well, and it's actually because he brought shame to the family because they don't actually care about that. But anyway.
Well, correct, sure. But so this guy was pissed off largely because he got lied to by Prince Andrew about fucking kids, which he thinks is not cool. And in particular, he thinks that the fucking kids part is not cool. Yeah, the lying part hurt him personally.
Yeah, the lying part seemed to be the thing that really bothered him the most. But
he also said, but he was also pretty clear. He was also pretty clear that he thought that fucking kids was uncool. Yeah, separately,
but that was kind of the extent of it. Like just that's not cool. You shouldn't do that kind of thing.
Yeah, that was the part that kind of
that's the vibe I kind of got off.
Slapped me.
Like okay, well,
that's the part that kind of slapped me in the face too. It's just like and he was fucking kids, and that's not cool. And I was like, yeah, and he was running over toddlers, and that's not cool. Yeah, and he was sinking ships off the East Coast, and that's not cool. Right, yeah, he was starting wars in the Middle East, and that's not cool. Like, come on, man, have a little enthusiasm behind that.
Well, you gotta consider this guy. Again, he runs in elite circles, so
and he's old.
Well, not only that, when you run with these people for so long, you come to see that certain things are more normal than they should be. Cough.
Yeah, well.
But anywho.
Yeah.
So I will include something, just a nice palate cleanser here. I won't bother playing it. I'll just include it for everybody to check out because I'm sure you caught it when FBI Director Patel was being interviewed on the floor.
Oh, where he basically said, "Go fuck yourself."
Yeah. Well,
I'm paraphrasing pretty significantly there.
Representative Dean had a specific question for him. I'll just tell you right now. It was, when can I, a former impeachment manager, expect the FBI at my door? To which Mr. Patel said, "Ma'am, you want to know who was targeted by a weaponized FBI? Me." That wasn't all. There's quite a bit more. I'll include the...
Well, the part I liked was where he said, "If you want to continue putting words in my mouth, the cameras are outside."
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty good. And then she said, "This is not going to look very good for you, or this is really bad, or whatever." He said, "No, it's not good for you."
Yeah.
These people are fucking idiots, and Trump does a really good job of hiring people that are smarter than him, and watching them walk circles around the people who normally have to deal with other flunkies is pretty fucking funny.
Indeed, it is. There's a lot of Schadenfreude in watching the way that the Trump administration works.
I mean, part of it is also frustration because why the fuck are these people in office? But
why are these literal sites just sucking off the blood of America? But there they are.
I mean, I can't be a constituent in every jurisdiction, so I don't really have a say beyond where I live.
But there's I'm going to include a link to
my local elections are more important, by the way. They're more impactful on your life anyway.
They are. You should absolutely be involved in your local politics. Not just you, not just me. Everyone that's listening and everyone that might listen in the future. And on a related note, I'm going to include a tweet from Oilfield Rando here. You might be familiar with him. He throws out some real bangers now and then. And this one,
it does.
It encapsulates the situation in which we find ourselves very, very succinctly. I'll just read it off to you, and I'll include a link as well. Now, people need to understand that Trump is the nice way. Mass deportations are the nice way. There is a growing faction of Americans that want to march the entire Somali population of Minneapolis on its own trail of tears to the Mexican border and send them on their way. It's not wrong.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like people are trying. We're trying our hardest to be real nice about this, but you guys are not really playing nice here, and you're gonna get people that are gonna stop playing nice back at you real soon.
Yeah. That's not good.
And yeah, it's not. It really isn't. It makes things kind of ugly. And there we are. Not really a lot to say about that. Oh, but on a related note, just after that report came out from James O'Keefe, which, by the way, he was in front of the Veritas logo as well. No updates on that, but that's an interesting little development. We'll have to see where that one's going too. Anywho. We had Pam Bondi here, same day, matter of fact, just later in the day, come out with the revelation that the FBI has, quote, tens of thousands of videos of Epstein with children or child porn. There are hundreds of victims. Oh, I wasn't aware that I was. We all were. We all fucking knew. But there hasn't been an official declaration of such until just now. And also, right after, someone was putting out information that there was, somebody in the Trump administration that's stonewalling this. Well, either way, get that fucking info out. Get those arrests moving. This needs to happen.
Well, the thing is I would be okay if, if ultimately the whole Epstein list thing was like a lame duck part towards the end, right?
Mm-hmm.
If that came with, in the middle of things, a fuck ton of arrests, even if we didn't know why, if there's a bunch of arrests and all these people got their fucking comeuppance and we just found out about it towards the end, fine, whatever.
Yeah, I'm down.
I mean, it's annoying that we can't, and I can get it. I get it. Maybe there's not the ability to know that that's a thing that's happening.
We don't want it. We don't want the richest people in the world to know that they need to run and hide. Fair. Okay. Good point.
Fine. But like, you still gotta fucking do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So we need to start seeing something here. Anything. Because
so there's got to be some kind of reassurance that can be given to the people.
Yeah, people, they need something to work with here, because we've been teased for a long time with this, or that is to say, actually no, we've been teased recently, rather desperately with this, and for the longest time knew it was a thing. But, it's just not a thing you speak of, because that's just not how we handle things in the world of today. They get away with what they do, and you can complain about it, but that's all you're allowed to do. And I'm glad that we're starting to maybe move past that, because I want these people in jail, at a minimum, at a bare minimum.
Can we put them all in the same jail, in a place that's devoid of human life around it, potentially near a target of interest to a foreign national or a foreign military power?
Maybe, whatever. Just.
Can we do that where they might be accidentally wiped out if for some reason a foreign power decides to start a war with us? Can we have that kind of minimal assurance that maybe the worst people in the planet can be taken out in the preemptive strike?
Well,
it'll be sad for us. We'll all be really annoyed, but at the same time,
wouldn't it be so funny if all of a sudden all the wars just stop? Wouldn't that?
But it'd be funny if, like, but think of it like this: it'd be hilarious if day one of a war, we got good news. Oh no, they died. I guess.
Well, I have this funny feeling that, if you arrest all those people, it's going to be like, hey, why are we warring with each other? Where that guy that was telling us that we need to be warring with each other, he got arrested. Oh. But anyway, on that note, there has been an interesting development. This one from the 6th. We've been covering the 7th here. Man, the 7th was a busy fucking day. So anyway, on the day before, because just about everything we've covered happened on the 7th. Crazy week this week. Crazy day. Anyway, day before that, we had a wild announcement, something I was not expecting out of Donald Trump, and that is the Houthis are cool.
Oh, they fucked around and found out, didn't they? Huh?
Well, they did, and instead of being like, all right then, we'll fight you forever until we're all dead, they're like, okay, no. We're good. No, you're cool. We're cool. If we're cool, you're cool. We're cool. And I'm paraphrasing, basically. But, they got a big sock to the nose. And Trump, and also Hegseth, for that matter, have basically signaled their interest in not dealing with the Middle East. These are your problems, people. You need to deal with them. And, you give them a good black eye, and then you say, we would like you to fuck off, and we would also like to fuck off. Can we both just fuck off, please? Now, you might want to put some ice on that.
Well, they don't want. They're not going to want to touch what we're offering. We'll just put it like that. The Houthis would get. Here's the thing: Saudi Arabia. They're not really a fan of the Houthis either. In fact, most of Yemen, about 2/3 of Yemen, that the Houthis don't have as conquered territory. They don't really like the Houthis to begin with. So they would not get that. The entire Arabian Peninsula pretty much thinks they're shit. Suffice to say. So if we came in and we curb stomped them, they're not getting any backup. It's not going to be like, an Arab nationalist thing where the Saudis are going to say, hey, you stomped on our people down there. It's going to be like, oh, so someone finally scraped the shit off the front door. That's good. So we'll have that to deal with.
Or not deal with. honestly, because that's how it should have been, actually, the whole time. That's not our fucking problem.
True. Well, no, it's our problem because they're fucking with shipping lanes.
Yeah, they made it our problem, and unfortunately, we had some people in the top that were like, "Oh, this absolutely needs to be our problem," instead of, "You fuckers need to deal with your own shit," which is how a lot of all of this should have been handled any number of times. But anyway, that's that. Gosh, that's been so. What? I guess I'll step forward a few days from there. Oh goodness, it's been crazy. So we've got Bill Gates is giving away all of his money. Cough. The announcement is that he'll be giving away nearly all of his $200 billion worth, and apparently keeping about 10%. Oh, 1%. Sorry. Now this has been done time and time and time again. In the case of Zuckerberg, it went down exactly as, oligarch types do it. You build your foundation, your charity, your trust, your whatever. You put all of this money in it that can now no longer be taxed because it's in a 501c3 of whatever fucking variety. And you keep, your $2 billion in liquid monies, which certainly that'll be incredibly difficult to live on and make further monies on, I'm sure. Anyway, you take your $2 billion in gold or whatever, and you send the other $198 billion to your charity, and then you have your charity do whatever the fuck you want it to do. And now it can do whatever the fuck it wants to do without oversight and without having to pay taxes. Congratulations, billionaire. You figured it out. Now, it's entirely possible that I'm being cynical and Bill Gates will not do the thing that every other billionaire has done and that he himself did previously with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. It's entirely possible he won't do it again and just call it the Bill Foundation instead of the Bill and Melinda, because Melinda found out that he was spending a little bit of time with his good friend Jeff, kind of all the time, and for some reason felt that was reason for a divorce. Who can say why? Maybe Mr. Epstein has some sort of reputation that precedes him. God forbid. Right?
Yeah.
Good times. But in some actual good times here, because, we got to do that too, got one for you, friend, that you have maybe heard, maybe not. Anyway, DeSantis, we're jumping forward 2 days on this one to the 9th. He had something really great to say. I'll just quote the man. Of course, include a link to his thing too. That is, you should own your home free and clear. To say someone who's been in their home 35 years has to keep ponying up money, you don't own your home if that's the case. If I go to Best Buy and I buy a TV, I pay sales tax, but don't keep paying taxes on it year after year. That's right, Ron. That is damn right, sir. Property taxes are theft. And if your property is taxed if the state can take your property for you not paying for it after having paid for it, then it was never your property in the first place. So this is the right move. Property taxes are wrong and evil, and I would love to see an end to state and federal taxes on properties because they shouldn't exist. So big ups, Ron. Good job, man.
And here's the funny thing is people are going to cry about where we're going to get the money from, the same way they already are about a potential for less money to be recovered by the IRS this year. Well, I got an answer for you. Stop spending the fucking money.
You don't say.
Tough shit. Absolutely, just tough shit. If you don't have the money for it, then cry harder until someone cares, because I don't. Not a goddamn taxpayer who really gives a shit about this country is going to care that you're crying about the fact that the IRS hasn't fucked that many more people out of money. Like, I'm sorry, there's not any give a shit left in the country for that. We found out that, and it's not like people didn't already have kind of a vague sense of this, but we found out that not only was the country being bilked for cash, but to the tune of trillions of dollars, on the order of $10 trillion plus. That's just gone off to fucking Narnia as far as fraud is concerned.
Bare minimum,
hundreds
of billions a year. Bare minimum.
Right. Let alone the fact that there's an additional $4.5 trillion in a budget that had no fucking code to it. It was just, we spent this on what?
Here, pay for this. What? This thing? What thing? The thing that I need to
exactly. It's just fuck off. You know, like, it's the thing. It's kind of thing where we start to get to the point where we're ready to not care that other people are going to worry, are not going to respect our debts, like they're not going to take our cash anymore, if it means that we just get to restart the fucking government.
Jubilee time.
If it means that we get to restart the government, and maybe we'll pay for it with a bunch of fat bureaucrats on pikes. Like, it's the kind of thing where we would be happy to sell our politicians as targets for tar and feathering for foreign national leaders for entertainment, if it meant we paid off our national debts and we started over with a competent currency and a competent government.
Maybe even have it backed by a solid asset.
If we have a revolution in this country when it comes to this kind of shit, it's going to be quite fucking small, and the entire nation is going to be more or less behind getting rid of a key handful of people. Those people are not going to be safe at that point. They're not going to be able to buy personal guards to surround their property because none of them are going to care. They've gotten themselves to that point of apathy in this country, and they don't realize it yet. So when it comes to shit like property taxes, like, this is the kind of thing you need to do to assuage people.
You really you need to calm things down because people are...
Because out of $36 trillion, if we're finding out that, up to 30 of it is just fucking wasteful, we're not happy.
No.
Like, it's just, again, on the tune of... So if we found out, trillions of dollars that were involved, but again, over time, that has interest built on it, over time, like, it's not the same number that they found as raw expenditures as far as waste, because it has that interest compounded into it. So a significant chunk of our national debt is fraud, waste, and abuse. Like a double-digit percentage of it. That's bad. I understand that that's anywhere from 10 to 99%, but like if it's not below 10, that's already bad. The fact that it's within the range of 10 to 99 is already really fucking bad. The fact that it could be somewhere above 50 is really fucking bad. That's like pitchforks and torches kind of territory.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't think that's gonna, like, that is the kind of shit that could balkanize the U.S., I'm really hoping we don't get there, because that would mean the rest of the world would come in, they would invade, and they would fuck us up. We would be tuned up for years. We don't want that. Even if we have an internal revolution where we take things, to the appropriate people and we get it done right, we're still a country afterwards. We run out of superpower pretty quick.
Yeah, the whole rebuilding after a civil war is kind of hard on people.
And let's be clear on this one. It's good to be the king when it comes to superpower. And right now we're still there. Like, we're doing good under Trump, but we gotta keep some steam behind this. We gotta keep some momentum up. If we don't, we have a problem. I mean, the next few elections are gonna be pretty damn important, given the way that we were left before Trump got into office.
Yeah.
The first time, let alone the second time.
Oh, because it is every bit of likely that that people that hate America would work to the furthest ends possible to undo everything that has been done to try and save it.
Yeah.
We already saw it happen once.
Yeah.
And then we lived through it.
That's the fun thing, isn't it? That's the fun thing is they tried to say with an incumbent, with a returning incumbent, and a person who had just been vice president for it. It's like, I love that thing. It's just, they tried to say Trump's going to do all this shit, and it's like, look what he did last time. None of it.
Yeah.
You can't lie about this shit when they haven't figured that part out, and it's probably because it works still on certain key demographics. and specifically those that are within the likely to vote voter base. But like the idea that you can just lie and never get checked on that in real time, mind you, in real time fact checking, and you don't need these professional fact checkers, which are all bullshit artists, that get just blown out by everybody sharing the obvious on the face truth. And the funny thing is, you'd think that disinformation would spread throughout that and fuck it up, but by and large, people have been able to cut through a lot of that. Sometimes it's cleverly top down, just kind of stealth marketing from political campaigns that are able to put out a good meme and get it to go viral. But by and large, people have gotten to the point where they go and they check for themselves after they see something, regardless of whether or not it's the correct or false information, in a way that is meaningful to the kind of reflections within population of the information as it kind of circulates.
Yeah,
people will go out there and think
these times people have learned that they just can't really trust the news as reported.
Yeah, there's that. You also can't just directly trust word of mouth, which that was kind of an age-old adage. You get enough people together and the bullshit flings around quickly.
Well, you can just play a game of telephone and figure that one out fast enough.
Exactly. So, and that's thankfully that's still a children's game that's repeated in kindergartens everywhere. So, something positive out of that.
Get to that one early at least. Oh, and just to put this out there too, there's a rumor going around that Pakistan, being a big ally of Ukraine, might have been too good of an ally and sold off an incredibly worthwhile portion of their material, to the point that most of their artillery shells may have been offloaded already, and they might only have enough to keep this shit up for about a week. It's a rumor going around. I can't actually give it any veracity, but it is coming from the Battle Beagle, and he is notorious for being right about things. So make of that what you will.
Yeah, okay. That's kind of the answer there.
Yeah.
So 1 week, you say, huh? All right.
We'll see. But that would be very funny. That would be very, very funny. And I've got another one here. It's not really funny. It's not really sad. It's fucking finally. You and I both have been incredibly critical of this military decision ever since it was implemented. And thank you, Pete Hegseth. And thank you, fucking SCOTUS, for backing him up on it. The transgender ban is in effect. I believe they have until Monday of this week coming. And the long and short of it is, if a supply chain falls through and you don't get your drugs and you can't be a warfighter, what the fuck are you doing on the front line? Right?
Yep.
I mean, there is nothing more to it than that. Like, if you need we don't have diabetics. We don't let you in if you're diabetic. We don't let you in if you got like fucking shin splints. Why are we going to let you in if you require medicine to function? No, it's the height of foolishness. So anyway, good. Fucking finally. That one's been a long time coming.
Mm-hmm.
And on the note of things that have been a long time coming, there were a number of arrests over the past week. I'll just detail one here, but there were, I want to say 3. One, I want to say former Democrat, another one, I think a judge. And then this one, of course, is an Antifa guy. Out of Tennessee. A man in East Tennessee. He was in court Thursday after he was charged with child sex crimes and conspiring to sexually abuse a young girl. Joseph Brandon, a film and television actor, saw his home raided amid accusations that he was a diddler. So, let me see here. To quote the man, "Oh, wow, mean, he sells merch. Neato. What does he sell? Oh, cool. A shirt. It says, I am Antifa, motherfucker. Well, I'd say that he is a perfect, picture perfect and flawless representation for Antifa. He's right up there with David Hogg for the Dems, you know. I don't think that they could ask for someone that more suits their image, you know. So what do we have here? Alleged plot involved posing as a young girl on social media to trick another young girl into sharing nude photos. Oh, wow. So not only that, he's like the classic sex pest predator. He's not even like, hey, you're going to give me the things. He's like, I'm a young lady, too. You can trust me. Wow. That's unsurprising.
Oh, my fucking God. Sorry, I have an old meme folder open. And the things I have.
Yes. Same. Same. That's all I'm going to say. There's so much that I will not post. Oh, and speaking of things that will not post, we will be posting, as mentioned previously, on YouTube. But you know who won't be? See, there's this fella. He makes music. You've probably heard of him. And he's got a new track that's out. I'll tell you, it is a certified bop. Oh, yay.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
He really released that new one. He really, really did. So I've got one of the guys that did some of the editing on that. He released an early copy of that, and I'll just include a link. It's available on X where anyone can watch it. And I'll tell you, it has an infectious beat. I like all.
I'll say this: it was really good, really funny. So there was the whole thing with Ethan Klein and Hassan Piker.
Also, that yes, it has.
But hey, as a segue to it, there was a pretty damn funny clip of Hassan Piker dancing to that song, and it's pretty clear what's going on in that. But yeah, anyway, so Hassan Piker and Ethan Klein had themselves a little conversation.
They did.
It went about as well as you expect,
and it went as you might imagine.
Yeah, Hassan Piker is a fucking retard, so it didn't take long for Ethan to kind of strip him down.
No.
And of course, because he's a retard, he's also a bumbling idiot as far as conversation. So,
classic himbo.
Tried to keep taking over the discussion, and was very, very, very upset with Ethan. Eventually, resorted to calling him a racist because that's what you do as a leftoid.
I'm surprised he didn't call him an anti-Semite.
He tried. It's pretty funny. He legitimately tried to pull that off by saying you just conflate Zionism and Judaism, so you're a racist. It's like, hey man, basically calling anti-Semite. Tried.
No, that's always fun. It's, I'm tempted to make a Benjamin Netanyahu joke, but anyway, he's killing it out there on his own. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I had to. Oh, but anyway. So, geez, man, what do we want to cover next? There's been. Oh yeah. Here,
well, we're at 12:38, so we're getting close to the point now.
Ah, yeah. Good point.
But,
let me find some fun stuff that we can kind of close out with. Then.
Well, I mean, if okay, no, go ahead. Yeah.
Because actually, I have got a.
Not really, but we should skip it.
And that one is going to be Tina Peters. We've spoken on her briefly. She was one of the an election truther, if you like, but she actually did reveal information that the elections had been tampered with, and then she was prosecuted and jailed. Anyway, Trump has directed the DOJ to do everything in their power to free Tina Peters from the Colorado prison. She's like 69. All that she did was document election fraud that occurred. I believe she might have broken some confidentiality agreements in doing so. I think that's where the charges come from, but it's it's like a lot of the J6 bullshit. You know, she was egregiously charged and egregiously jailed. So it'll be good to see. So reading from Trump's statement here, radical left Colorado Attorney General Phil Weiser ignores illegals committing violent crimes like rape and murder in his state and instead jailed Tina Peters, a 69-year-old Gold Star mother who worked to expose and document Democrat election fraud. Tina is an innocent political prisoner being horribly and unjustly punished in the form of cruel and unusual punishment. Oh my God, Trump, seriously. Anyway, whatever. This is a communist persecution by the radical left Democrats to cover up their election crimes and misdeeds of 2020. You need to read this too, by the way. I'll include a link because his capitalization is. Anyway,
interesting. Huh?
Reading Trump tweets and truths is an experience. Yep. Anyway, the same Democrat Party that flies to El Salvador to try and free an MS-13 terrorist is cruelly imprisoning, perhaps for life, a grandmother whose brave and heroic son gave his life for America. Colorado must end this unjust incarceration of an innocent American. I am hereby directing the Department of Justice to take all necessary action to help secure the release of this hostage being held in a Colorado prison by the Democrats for political reasons. Free Tina Peters now. And to that, I do say, send in the marshals. Do it. Get her out of there. Get her right the fuck out of there. She does not belong. And yeah. So another. No, not gonna gloat. Not gonna gloat. We'll pass that one. So we've got. Just to be clear, I am not gonna gloat. It's just nobody would fucking care otherwise. But Greta Thunberg was on some ship that was on its way to Gaza, and
it got hit.
Yeah, and if she wasn't on that, some fucking missile or a drone or some shit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, actually. And
that's unfortunate for her.
Some people do very stupid things. So anyway, moving on. We do have something else, and by the way,
it's genuinely sad that she got killed like that.
Oh, she didn't. So she's fine.
Oh, well, it would be genuinely sad.
Oh, well, yeah.
It's genuinely kind of funny that she got her comeuppance, but that would also suck.
Yeah, it's just.
I have human empathy here for that. I can. It sucks when you get struck by a fucking missile. It's kind of interesting when it's from the people that you're trying to.
It may it was a drone. It was a drone strike, so don't know which side that was on.
Whatever, drone strike. Okay, same thing.
That really could fall down either side, considering she was going to support the Gazans. It could fall down either side. Who fucking knows? But whatever. Either way, she's safe. The ship did sink after everybody was gotten off. But yeah, so maybe Greta, get their lanes. You should consider picking one and staying in it. Maybe. Just saying. Anyway, we've got a little bit of good news, and this is a little bit older than the attack. And as a matter of fact, it only just predates the attack. And that's going to be, we got an India offer. A 0-0 deal. Auto parts, steel, and pharmaceuticals out of India. No tariffs. Both ways. And then Pakistan decides to do their little terror-y bullshit. So, I don't know. There are people that say that there might be something to that. Genuinely don't know. The timing's super fucky, but I don't know. It's a little bit too tenuous for me to, kind of draw that conclusion. Could be, though. Could be. Who knows? And an update. We had spoken on this last time, and that was, I can't remember the fucking House bill number, but it was the one where it was going to criminalize boycotting Israel and speech against Israel and all this. And it fell apart, as well it should, because America is built on freedom of opinion and freedom of speech. Whether it's to our bestest of friends or our most hated of enemies, this is like it's a core fucking principle of what America is. So we need to, keep that in mind. Okay, so let's close this out with some good news. Alrighty.
Yes.
We have out of, what state is this? Oh, I don't have the state, unfortunately. Okay, so the DOJ has launched an investigation into Mary Moriarty. Who's that? Oh, just one of those Soros DAs. Let's go.
Is that all?
Oh, nothing major. And of course, we have a former Biden State Department budget analyst that has pled guilty to embezzling more than $650,000 from the agency over 2 years. Well, they pled guilty, so they'll be, we'll be waiting to see what the sentencing is on that one. And then, of course, we've got some genuinely good news here, and that is Antarctica. What about it? Well, other than New Swaziland, it has gained ice between 2021 and 2023 for the first time in numerous decades. I don't have the exact numbers, but I think it was about 120 megatons, gigatons, whatever the tonnage that they're using to calculate the loss. It was a return of 120 of that. So it's like of the 138 that are lost, the vast majority has been returned, which is genuinely excellent. It means that, anthropogenic climate change is kind of bullshit. Surprise, surprise. Alrighty. And, okay. Fuck that. I'll tell you, but we've actually reported on it numerous times. States are getting antsy over Glocks because you can install a switch on them. And they're trying to ban Glocks. Whatever. The one we actually do have to do. It'll be a quick one, but this... We don't know who Armand is. Still.
Really?
Nope. We don't.
Fascinating.
Who's Armand? Exactly. Okay, time to stop being pensive here. The update out of Uvalde is there is no update. That's it. The update is basically, we didn't lie to you. We didn't ask you if you were lying or not lying. We want an update from you. By the way, this is basically what's coming down from the government's basically saying, we didn't hide any information from you whenever they ask a question, instead of answering the question, to put it in the shortest of terms. So we know nothing new. Nothing at all. Not one fucking thing at all. We don't even know who Armand is. We know nothing. That's your Uvalde update. Oh, how about I give you an update on Butler, Pennsylvania? Same. There you go. There's your update.
Hey.
Okay. Anyway, here we go. Oh yeah, we actually covered that one. Okay, so we talked about the Newark mayor that was arrested, the Glock ban. Man, I thought I had like another cool piece of good news in here. Man, I know I got one. Come on. Oh yes, there it is. All right, so good news, funny news. So the good news is there have been 24 Afrikaners, South Africans, that have been granted refugee status, and they're on their way here to the States. And, here we go. I'll include the NPR story because it's perfect. Because for some reason, Afrikaners are maybe not, the kind of people we would want here. Oh, what is this? Oh, white descendants of mainly Dutch colonizers. Oh, well, is that within the very first sentence? Of course it is in PR. Of course it is. So that gives you a taste of, what they're after. But, we're actually seeing people that are genuinely being persecuted given refugee status, as opposed to Haitians that are eating the cats and eating the dogs. And to all the people that say, well, why aren't we hearing about all the Asians eating the cats and dogs? Because they got fucking deported. Yay! Ha ha ha. I could add a better laugh there, but, point conveyed either way. And with that, I think we've about covered all the stuff we wanted to. I am, however, as the last link in here, because it's just incredibly pertinent to the times we live in, and it's not exactly the kind of stuff we talk about, but it's an incredibly worthwhile read. I'll drop it in the staff chat for you because it genuinely is. But in 1980, out of East Germany, they had a birth rate that was more catastrophic than our own current one. They got it up to 2.0. And, you're not supposed to be able to do that in the modern era. And someone actually did. And, well, because it was East Germany, after the fall of the wall, many of those programs fell apart, which It's like throwing the baby out with the bathwater, but it's kind of like throwing out the baby with the lava. It's like somehow the baby's immune, but it's still lava. So what are you gonna do? But yeah, I would encourage everyone
you
to
can test that theory over and over again.
Well, I hear that socialism's never been tried. Cough. But anyway, that's about that. Everybody, I do appreciate you all tuning in. Means the world to me. I just like doing the show. We don't make jack shit with this. I am going to be checking Bill Gates, getting rid of some of those monies, see if he's got a little bit for this red man, this oppressed minority. See if pay us out a skint dime. Maybe he'll shave the ribs off of a dime for us. Who knows? Probably not. But it's worth asking. I'll see if he's got an online form or something. Either way, though, thank you all for tuning in. You can follow my man Craig here at CraigBob99. I'm Evan at That Fake Guy Dan. Follow, like, subscribe, share, all the things. And, well, by crikey, we'll see you again soon. Be safe out there. The world has gone a little sideways. I once said mad, but there's actually a glimmer of hope and maybe a light at the end of the tunnel. I just got to keep moving towards it. Anyway, be well, peoples. All I love. And Craig's too. At least a little. Not all. Just, portion.
Maybe a little.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.